What's up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. I'm here with my co-host, Marshana Dahlia. So last night, we got 90 Day Fiance Season 5. Before the 90 days, Episode 16 was the final episode, and then Episode 17 was Part 1 of the tell-all. A lot has taken place. This is probably the best Part 1 of a tell-all that I have ever seen. I cannot wait for Part 2. I couldn't even get up off the couch to go get anything to drink because it was just so good. Like, I was so happy with what took place on the first part of the tell-all. I am so excited for part 2. And then, we have a brand new season of the original OG 90 Day Fiance coming on in 2 weeks. I am super excited. So let's just kind of jump right in, right? Jasmine and Gino, and I kind of feel like we saw a lot of Jasmine and Gino last night. We heard some habits, we heard some things about their relationship that we just didn't know, and I don't know if we wanted to know. And we found out that Gino has also been still talking to people behind Jasmine's back. And we found out that Jasmine has not learned her lesson with sending videos and pictures to Gino, as she said that will continue. So where do we even begin? What caught your attention the most last night? Let's just start there.
I mean, wow. I have to say, shout out to 90 Day Fiance and their producers. This was the most explosive, most thrilling and exciting tell-all I have ever seen in all of 90 Day franchise history. So well done. I mean, whew, Jasmine, what is happening here? I mean, I don't even get it. It was like almost does Gino not understand that the producers are only asking you questions that they already know the answer to? It's like being in an interrogation with like the feds or the police or a detective. They're not asking you a question for discovery. They know the truth. They're asking the question to see whether you going to lie, yes or no. How cooperative are you going to be with our investigation? So when Jasmine was finally like, Gino, why is Sean asking you these questions? Better I hear it from you. And sure enough, there it was. He was messaging Ben's friend. How did you even reach like Ben's friend? Anyway, the friend did shut him down because she was like, yeah, but my husband.
Which she appeared on the show with. So I'm not even sure where Gino was going with this, because she appeared on the show with her husband. So the idea that he was messaging her at all was very questionable and very strange. And this keeps happening with Gino. I feel like during the season, we were making it out to be like Jasmine is just looking for trash in the doghouse. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe every time Jasmine is looking and finding things, it's because there's things there to find. I'm beginning to see a pattern.
I think that Jasmine got with somebody like Gino, who, I mean, if we go based on aesthetics, is a guy who felt like, girls aren't going to be after, because clearly she's really insecure in a way about like cheating and men being unfaithful. So she probably figured, if I pick the lowest hanging fruit, no one else is going to go for this kind of guy. I'm not going to have to deal with cheating. I'm not going to have to deal with this dishonesty, because, not to be funny, these knockout looking guys, they come with a lot of trouble. They come with a lot of baggage. So she probably thought she was avoiding that, but then now that's exactly what she's getting. And I know that this show airs on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. after the children should be asleep, but wow, there was so much adult content, Mike. I mean, I couldn't close my mouth. Like the things that they divulged, Jasmine really divulged about Gino's affinity for self-pleasure. And
right, where do you even go from that? That is something that only your marriage counselor or counselor should hear. So I don't even know where we would go from that. And she feels that she has to beg him for it. And I'm sorry, I just don't feel that that's the case. Gino is super into Jasmine. He's not dating Jasmine for her personality. He's dating Jasmine because she looks like Jasmine. So I feel like something there doesn't add up. I don't feel like he would travel all the way to Panama to not have sex with Jasmine. Something doesn't add up.
The math ain't mathin'.
It's not.
It doesn't make sense.
So let's talk about what Ben said to Kim at the beginning of the tell-all. He said that men are supposed to be the one who chase down their prey. And he felt that Kim came on too strong and she was more of a predator. And I found that to be really ironic and interesting because a lot of people have made that same observation about Ben all season. And he said that since she's a woman, she shouldn't be chasing and pouncing after a man. And it really irritated me because he's been, don't get me wrong, Ben has irritated me all season, okay? But it irritated me because he's putting women in some sort of category where they're not allowed to think for themselves. They're not allowed to say what they want. They're not allowed to choose what's best for them in their path. He wants women to do what they're supposed to do. And it goes back to religion. This happens in a lot of religions, especially in polygamous religions. Women can't really do or say what they want. It's whatever they are approved to do and say. So those statements really brought me back to what his original, where he came from. He was a pastor, and pastors do feel that women should know their place. And I loved how Kim was just like, you're calling me a predator? Like, of all the things that you've done and you're chasing after young women and all this, she kept it together, but I was really bothered by what he said to her. And Kim also has an issue with Ella because Ella feels that she didn't do anything wrong by cheating on Johnny because Johnny should have came to see her, and that was kind of her animalistic way of saying, this is what I'm going to do to you as your punishment. That also bothered me. Like, a lot of things bothered me on the tell-all because the way that they reacted and the actions that they took were very insane. Like somebody said the other day, they were like, the cast is just really a good cast. They found a good group because no one is really agreeing with anything that they're doing.
Right. For me, listen, unpopular opinions, right? I'm going to 50% agree with Ben, right? Because I do feel like I have never seen a situation work out where a woman actively pursued a man more than that man showed interest in that woman and seen it work out. I have never seen it play out well. I've never seen the success in the woman who has gotten down on one knee and proposed because that's what she wanted. And I'm a woman. Hear me roar. I can do what I want. Equality. I've never seen it work out. Now, listen, Ben, you're a predator. You're the pot. You're calling the kettle black. Kim is in no way a predator to me. Usman is an adult, a big grown divorced adult. He is able to consent to these relationships in a way, like, we can say he's misleading. We can say he's a lot of things, but like, Usman's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You go after, Ben, women that are barely legal, like barely legal. Like, if we, you know what? Let me not say it. I was gonna say something, but I try, Jesus, I try, and I don't want to talk about it. All I'm gonna say is that women, if you have to pursue the man, and if you have to do all the legwork, and if you have to put ultimatums, like, you have to show me, if you have to do all of that, he's just not that into you. If you have to force the relationship, if you have to bend his hand, again, you can do these things, right? Women don't have to subscribe to one role. That is true. What I'm saying is, I've never seen it work out. Okay?
If you have to convince someone or they need to prove that they love you, they might not. So I definitely agree with you from there. And it's like, I know that it's unfair because men do try and convince women to marry them and convince women to be with them. And it is a double standard. So I do kind of understand where she's coming from.
Convincing and more like, there's a reason why when a man asks a woman to get to marry him, he's got to present her with an offering, like, a gesture of his love and affection, also known as a diamond ring, because you are coming to her and I'm sorry, not to persuade her, but you want to show her in that, like, I can provide and take care of you as a man. I think that men, in a sense, do have to kind of like demonstrate to a woman how I can provide love, care, protect, whatever it is you are or not. If you as the woman have to do all of that leading in a relationship, it's going to get really exhausting because you're going to get with that man. And the way you pursued him and the way you did all that is the way you're going to have to actively work to keep him, actively work to lead the relationship along. And I think it's going to get tiring. Ben should be quiet. I don't want to hear a word out of Ben for the rest of the tell-all because it's like, Ben, you are so hypocritical. It's not even funny.
Okay, so Mike informs us that him and Amina have gotten back together. We saw in the last episode when he left, he said, I'm not going to be the first person to reach out to Amina. And then he turned around, he reached out to her and started promising her money and rent and houses and vacations. And it just bothers me because I feel like he wants to buy her. And
Okay.
when makes a decision that is not involving him, he brings up, well, look at what I've done for you. Look at what I can do for you. Look at what I can give your children. If she doesn't love you, she just doesn't love you. You can't buy her a house. You can't give her a car. You can't give her kids money. You can't buy her mom a purse. Like, I just want him to respect himself. Because at this point, he's like, okay, well, you don't love me, but I can give you money, and that money can equate companionship. That's not a relationship. Relationships do not have an exchange of money. So and I know in part two of the tell-all, it looks like that it falls apart in part two. So I'm pretty sure they filmed this in 1 or 2 days, so it didn't even last 24 hours. But we're gonna see that in the next part of the tell-all.
Listen, hey, there's no part of me that feels bad for Mike, right? Jimena said everything she could. She did everything she could to be like, this relationship is over. I want it to be over. I want it to be over. I want it to be over. Like, there was nothing else she could do. If Mike still will be the fungus that will not go away, that just keeps popping back up and back up and back up, then if Jimena must be tormented by this man who doesn't get the point, then yes, he should finance her living. He should take care of her, because he has decided that rather than accept defeat, let this relationship go, face the heartbreak that I feel, and get over it in time, I'm going to keep holding on. And how I know I can hold on is I know that she is a woman in financial need. When I met this woman, she was working a webcam for money for her children. So
Right.
he is using that as his leverage, because she knows she's in a situation where she is in financial need, and he knows what she does to pay the rent and take care of her children. And he's not comfortable with her going back to do it. It's not that he loves her so much that he wants to help her. It's to keep her from going back and doing it. Now, listen, if Jimena's smart, you stay on that webcam, girl. Set up a new webcam ID somewhere else where he can't find you, not the other one you was using before. You'll get a new following, new followers, and you'll get that money and you'll get his money. And then sit there the whole time and be like, oh, she definitely has to have somebody new. Mike's a good person to be in a relationship with if he's in another country. But if you're trying to come up and live in my house, I mean, she even said at one point, like, I don't even want to go live in the United States. Like, I'm done. And he's still, Mike, no part of me that feels bad for you. And Jimena, take him for every penny he's got.
I mean, get a car out of it at this point. He's just handing it out. He's handing out $100 bills. Put your hand out and take them. That's how I look at it. You've given him every opportunity to say, I don't want your money. I don't want you. Leave me alone. And he refuses to accept it. So if he's still handing out $100 bills, open your purse as wide as it'll go and let him pour them in. You deserve it at this point. You've earned it. Dealing with this at this point, you've earned as much as he's gonna give you. All right, so we've run out of time. So next week we're gonna talk about what happened with Soulja Boy and Kim. And Soulja Boy had a video call with Zara, so we'll talk about that next week because they're actually gonna react to it next week anyway. And we're also gonna talk about Jamal's appearance on the tell-all and how folk.
I'm trying to hook up Jamal with one of my friends. She will kill me. I can't say her name on this podcast because she watches this podcast. But literally, I'm about to make an intro because I feel like Jamal is single, ladies. And if you want your shot at him, you better get in them DMs.
Hurry up, because he might be taken up really quick, right? He might be taken up real fast. All right, guys, that's it for part one. We're going to talk to you guys next week with the part two of the tell-all. There's so much more to come. I'm so excited. Who will break up on the tell-all? Literally, we will find out next week. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Marshana Dahlia. Thanks for tweeting with us last night. And we're going to talk to you all really soon.